Here is my driver ratings for the 2022 Imola Grand Prix. So it was a bit of a boring race, but we had some big drama in the last few laps. I will be rating the drivers from qualifying, the sprint race and the race. We will start at P20 and work our way down to P1. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. So starting with P20, Carlos Sainz. An up and down weekend from Sainz. Sainz looked like he had the pace for pole but had a crash in qualifying and he had to start in P10. But he had a good sprint race and started the race in P4. But his race only lasted a single corner when he went off and got stuck in the gravel to no fault of his own, giving him 3 stars. Now going to P19. Not so much to say about Alonso. He had an average race, but the spin of Mick damaged his car and he lost a lot of positions fast and then had to retire, also giving him 3 stars. Now going to P18. Daniel Ricciardo had a good qualifying session and not a bad sprint race, but I do think the incident with Sainz was his fault and the rest of the race he just had no pace, giving him 2 stars. Mick Schumacher. Mick was the driver that disappointed me the most this weekend. In my prediction video I said he will qualify good and start in the race in a good position and then fall back. And sadly I was right. He had 2 spins and was way off the pace of Magnussen. He's also getting 2 stars. Going to P16, Nicolas Latifi. He had an average weekend for him, but his teammate destroyed him in the race even after having bad luck in qualifying, giving Latifi 2.5 stars. In P15 we have Guanyu Zhou, also an average race from him, but his teammate was fighting for P4 and he's down in P15, so 2.5 stars. Going to P14, the big shock. Like I said in my prediction video, Lewis will struggle here, and it was made clear with Russell finishing P4. Lewis just couldn't get past Gasly. Now, I know he lost positions because of the pit lane incident of Ocon, but even if it wasn't for that, Lewis wouldn't have scored points, giving Lewis 2.5 stars. In P13, we have Pierre Gasly. He was down so low in qualifying and didn't have the pace compared to Yuki Tsunoda, giving him 2.5 stars. Now, in P12, Alex Albon. He is on fire at the moment, starting last after his brake caught fire in qualifying, making his way up to P12, giving him 4 stars. In P11 we have Esteban Ocon. After he got a penalty for unsafe release, he didn't have a bad weekend, but also not a good one, giving him 3 stars. Now going to P9, Kevin Magnussen. His car didn't have the same race pace as it had in qualifying, but still getting 2 points after a great qualifying session, giving him 3.5 stars. In P8 we have Sebastian Vettel. He was a big shock, but in a good way this time, getting his first points of the season and being a completely different driver than the Vettel we saw in Australia, giving Vettel a 4 star. In P7 we have Yuki Tsunoda, a great weekend from him, beating Gasly in qualifying and in the race, giving him 3.5 stars. And now in P6, Charles Leclerc. Clearly, he didn't have the same pace as Max this weekend, or at least not at the right times. He qualified good, had a good sprint race until losing out in the last few laps, and then looked to maybe finish in P2, but lost the car and had to pit again. This was Leclerc's first big mistake of the year, and this makes his gap to P2 in the standings way smaller, giving him 3.5 stars. Now in P5, Valtteri Bottas. He even got 1 place better than I said in my prediction video. But he's doing so good this season. He's really unstoppable, not making any mistakes and getting everything out of that car, giving him 4.5 stars. Going to George Russell, finished in P4. He was destroying his 7-time world champion teammate this weekend from qualifying to the sprint race and then again in the race. He's also getting 4.5 stars. Now in P3, Lando Norris. I have to say this is one of the biggest shocks this weekend, if not the biggest one. He had a really good race and sprint race, giving him 5 stars. In P2 we have Sergio Perez doing everything he had to get that P2, but not on the pace of Max, and he gets 4 stars. So if you like these videos and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. It will only take a second and you can always unsubscribe later. Now going on to Max Verstappen. Max got P1, he had a flawless qualifying session, then had a bad start in the sprint race but got back to P1 and easily won the race. He gained back a lot of positions in the standings and is now P2. This have to be a 5 star. Hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you in the next one.